our little girl was born, we got a Subaru. It's where she said her first word.
No.
Saw her first day of school.
Bye-bye.
Made a best friend forever.
Oh my...
The back seat of my Subaru is where she grew up.
What?
The 2015 Subaru Forester.
What?
Built to be there for your family. Love, it's what makes a Subaru a Subaru.
University Subaru.
The wise choice!
Good morning and welcome to Radio Friends on Wednesday, December 30th, 2 days left of 2015. And I've got my friend JOAN STACK with us from the State Historical Society. And here's a lady that I can just introduce and she can talk away. You are one of the most knowledgeable people I know.
Oh, well, thank you. We love doing all kinds of different things at the Historical Society,
Yeah.
so we have a little bit of everything going on there.
Oh, yeah, but I think you know a lot of everything. What are we dealing with today?
Well, we just opened an exhibit on December 15th entitled Picturing Politics. And we're featuring our...
Called what?
Picturing Politics. And we're looking at artwork by George Caleb Bingham and Thomas Hart Benton, Missouri's two most famous artists, that deals with political subjects. And one of the things that's happening with this exhibit is we're having the triumphant return of a painting that has a national reputation. It's a beautiful painting by George Caleb Bingham, and I brought a reproduction of it here.
Okay.
That's called Watching the Cargo.
Now, if you want to see this, you can watch our vodcast. Go to kbia.org, click on Radio Friends. You can go to YouTube and put in Radio Friends, and you can watch this segment. But this is a beautiful picture. And explain it.
Yeah, well, it's a nationally known painting. It appears in textbooks, and it's a very well-known picture. It's one of Mid-Missouri's most famous paintings. A lot of people don't know it's here. They're surprised when they walk into the gallery and they'll see this.
You have the original?
Yes, we have the original painting.
How large is it?
Well, let's see. It's about, it's at least framed. It's so over a yard wide and I don't know, 30 inches tall or so.
Okay, so 3 feet wide.
It's a big, impressive painting. It shows three men who are sitting on a sandbar in Missouri, probably along the Missouri River. It could have been based on figures that Bingham met in Arrow Rock or Boonville. He was somebody who spent a lot of time in mid-Missouri.
And if you look real hard, you'll see something on that.
Yeah,
picture.
It's a beautiful scene of a river landscape. Will be familiar to many Mid-Missourians, but if you look closely, you'll see that it's not just a beautiful landscape, it's also an image of a tragedy. There is a sinking steamboat on the river, and these men, in fact, have been unloading that steamboat, placing the cargo on a sandbar, and they're watching the cargo because they need to watch it overnight and protect it until a new steamboat can pick it up. So the problem in the 19th century was the Missouri River was a very dangerous river, a very fast river, and we had a real problem with steamboat wrecks. And George Caleb Bingham was a member of the Whig Party, which was a party that supported the idea that the federal government had a responsibility to improve the rivers because they were the conduits of trade for the entire nation.
And it's almost like the air, in the air today with the federal government and the air traffic controllers.
Yeah, or the highway system. The federal government has some responsibility to support improvements on I-70. Well, the Missouri River was the I-70 of this period. And so Bingham's picture, though it may appear to us to be a beautiful landscape...
He was making a statement.
He's making a political statement. So our exhibit deals with a number of different aspects of politics, but one of the aspects is the politics of water. And we have several images by George Caleb Bingham dealing with the river. We also have some images by Thomas Hart Benton that he did of floods in Missouri. And in some ways to make a similar kind of statement. This was in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s. He wanted people to know of the devastation that floods were causing in this state and wanted the federal government to provide some relief and some help for the people. In fact, one of the pictures that we have on display, he sent to every member of Congress in order to encourage them to help with flood relief.
Do you have a picture here?
I don't have that picture with me.
But it's on display at the
on
State Historical
display,
Society.
And it was done in 1951 when the Kaw River, or Kansas River, flooded in the Kansas City area. And it supposedly was a worse flood than the flood of 93. It was a devastating flood to that area. And Benton's picture apparently was somewhat successful, and they ended up, the Congress did
So
provide
he
some relief.
sent a copy of that picture to every member of Congress.
That's right.
With a statement, I'm sure.
Yes, and we have, not only do we have the lithograph on display, we also have a reproduction of Benton's letter, and we have 3 of the replies. We have the original replies that were sent to Benton from members of Congress. We borrowed those from
Were any from Missouri?
Yes, there were a couple of them from Missouri. I'm not sure. I think we have one of the Missouri congressman's letters on display. We have 3 out of over 30 of them. But we borrowed these from the Thomas Hart Benton home. Apparently Benton saved these, and they are still in the house where Benton lived, which is now a state historic site. So I went over there and asked if we might be able to show these for our exhibit, which revolves around Thomas Hart Benton and George Caleb Bingham.
And they were kind enough to let you have them.
They were, and we're real pleased about that.
So this opened on December the
15th.
December 15th. How long will it be there?
We are running this exhibit through the spring semester, and I don't think we have a firm closing date, but through June, through the end of June, sometime towards the end of June.
Okay, so you've got 6.5 months to see it, if you want to see it.
And I may come back and talk about some of the other aspects we were talking about earlier. We have not just the politics of water, but several other aspects of politics that these artists have addressed.
Yeah, they addressed slavery.
They did. George Caleb Bingham was very interested in the slavery issue, and we may talk about that another time.
And there was one president of the university, how many years ago?
Oh, this would have been in the 1850s.
Okay.
That George Caleb Bingham didn't care for this man. His name was James Shannon.
And you have pictures.
We have a painting of James Shannon, and George Caleb Bingham actually wrote letters to the newspaper objecting to Shannon, even though he painted his portrait, which is kind of interesting.
Because Shannon was very pro-slavery. Okay.
Yeah.
If you want to see the exhibit that we've been talking about, you can go down to the State Historical Society, your location.
We are located on the University of Missouri campus in Ellis Library. We occupy the ground floor of the East Wing, and we are open Tuesday through Saturday. The gallery opens at 8 o'clock, and during the weekdays we close at 4:30, and on the weekends we close at 3:30.
Okay, and you're closed on Sunday and Monday.
Sunday and Monday.
All right, JOAN STACK, thank you so much for coming by State Historical Society.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure to have you. Tomorrow, on New Year's Eve, we've got Hank Waters.
He's a member of the society.
He's a member of the State
Yeah.
Historical Society. He's going to talk about happenings in 2015.
Oh, great.
We're going to compact that all in 8 to 10 minutes there. Our program directed by Travis McMillen, our Reynolds Journalism Institute, audio Pat Akers, KBIA, floor director Maya Jackson, assistant producer and guest coordinator Uncle James Mauser. Bye-bye.